Tonight, 2 people were shot half a mile off the WSU campus.
And the Navy is investigating 2 Navy SEALs in connection with the death of an Army sergeant.
And see what you missed from the 5th game of the MLB World Series. Murrow News 8 starts now.
From Studio B on the campus of Washington State University, this is Pullman's only nightly newscast. This is Murrow News 8.
Good evening, I'm Elizabeth Medina.
And I'm Jay Slaughter. Welcome to Murrow News 8.
A house party in Pullman ended in gunfire Sunday morning. Police responded around 1:45 a.m. to gunshots on the 1000 block of Duncan Lane. The 2 victims sustained their injuries while trying to forcibly remove someone from a car. Police say suspect is still at large. If you have any information regarding the shooter, please call the Pullman Police at 509-334-0802. Voters are finding a few errors on the Pullman election ballots for next week's election. The city released a statement saying they were contacted by constituents with concerns about ballot errors. The errors were related to the location of voters. For example, many Ward 1 voters received Ward 2 ballots and vice versa. This is not the first time this type of mistake has happened in the last few years.
Pullman is working on a plan to make Winter Street safer. Last winter, numerous cars were parked alongside of the roads as snow fell. This winter, all of those cars will receive a $14 fine or face being towed. That means that students' cars parked on the streets of College Hill during winter break are subject to fines and towing. Some students may struggle to pay that $14 fine on the car because poverty is a challenge in America, and especially for students still faced today. Ashanae Civils Taylor shows us how poverty affects people right here in Pullman and how you can combat hunger.
Whitman County ranks the highest in poverty rates for all of Washington State, but that's not hard to imagine when any single person who makes less than $1,000 in a month officially lives below the poverty line. Most WSU students only work part-time and live off campus, which distorts the data.
This is a representation of Whitman County. Currently, nearly 1/3 of the county lives below the poverty line. However, if you exclude students from this data, it drops that number down to around 16%. This also drops Pullman poverty rates from 45% to 21%.
Student poverty rates may inflate the numbers. This doesn't mean students aren't food insecure. In a 2015 consensus, 60% of low-income respondents said they would use a community garden if available to them.
Food insecurity is, I don't know where I can get money to eat. To me, that's a challenge, and that's something as a community that we have to find a way to address.
Ryan Lazo explains that people can go in and out of food insecurity.
If I got into a big car crash and I had a big medical bill and I had $10,000 worth of medical bills all of a sudden, maybe this month I have some trouble getting all the food I need, but last month I didn't have any problems.
Go to the Student Affairs webpage, click on Cougs Feeding Cougs, and if you have a little extra, donate it to help our community members.
It is difficult to define living below the poverty line and easy to understand that anyone can become food insecure. Ashanae Civils Taylor, Murrow News 8.
Washington State's Chief Information Security Officer delivered the keynote address at the 2nd annual WSU Cybersecurity Awareness Summit last week. Agnes Kirk believes college students are one of the most vulnerable groups of digital attacks because of the large amount of time they spend on it online. Kirk talked about cybersecurity and ways to protect private one's information. Kirk provides policy and technology leadership for the state of Washington and advises Governor Jay Inslee on key cyber issues. The summit was hosted by WSU Information Technology Services. When we come back, a man dressed as Santa Claus shoots 4 at the Halloween party.
And 2 people are charged with the FBI Russia investigation.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Don't worry. 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
One person is dead and 3 are injured after a man dressed as Santa Claus allegedly shot 4 people at a Halloween party Sunday morning. 32-year-old Randall Gaston Jones of Austin, who lived at the home, is being charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. 2 of the victims are receiving medical care at the hospital and 1 was treated at the scene. Paul Manafort, Trump's former campaign chairman, turned himself into federal authorities. Manafort and associate Richard Gates were indicted 12 counts ranging from conspiracy against the U.S. to conspiracy to launder money and links to Russia. Mr. Manafort's attorney says the allegations are false.
There is no evidence that Mr. Manafort or the Trump campaign colluded with the Russian government. Mr. Manafort represented pro-European Union campaigns for the Ukrainian.
The charges are being brought against Mr. Manafort are focused on interactions between campaign team members and Russian officials during the 2016 U.S. election.
2 members of the U.S. Navy's Elite Team 6 are under investigation for the death of an Army Green Beret in the Mali this summer. The Army Staff Sergeant Logan Melgar was found dead in his room embassy housed in Bamako, Mali on June 4th. According to one U.S. official, Melgar's death is being investigated as a homicide by suffocation. Melgar is from Texas and enlisted in the U.S. Army in 2012. He was a Special Forces Engineer Sergeant and was on assignment at the time of his death.
On Sunday, Puerto Rico's electric company canceled a $300 million contract with the small firm Whitefish Energy from Montana. Whitefish was contracted to help repair the territory's hurricane-ravaged electric grid. Whitefish said that the cancellation was very disappointing and that the utility's decision will only delay what the people of Puerto Rico want and deserve, to have power restored quickly.
Iraq Kurdistan's president Moussa Barzani was stepped down on Wednesday. On Saturday, Barzani sent a letter to Kurdish parliament that the outline of a plan to divide up the presidential powers. Barzani's decision came weeks after a referendum on Kurdistan's independence backfired and started for a crisis for Iraqi Kurds, who were enjoying years of relative peace. The Kurds voted overwhelmingly to break away from Iraq's. Barzani was held the office of presidency since 2005.
U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis met with South Korean President Moon Jae-in to address a possible solution to North Korea's reckless behavior. President Jae-in said a strong defense was of primary importance for the peace and security of the Korean Peninsula. North Korea has claimed advances in its nuclear weapon and missile program and put the U.S. and its Asian allies on high alert.
Engages in outlaw behavior, threatening behavior, condemned by unanimous UN Security Council resolutions.
Mattis believes the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula is the goal, not war. The senior White House official said President Donald Trump may decline a visit to the North and South Korea border during his visit in Asia next week. With Halloween tomorrow, will the weather stay dry for the trick-or-treaters?
Derek Baker will give us this week's forecast when we come back.
The great outside. My new mom and I have a lot in common. So shiny. We both love the outdoors. That's not a flower. And she knows a lot about wildlife. A labradoodle.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
I wouldn't use this one.
He helps me with my decision making.
Never.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Halloween is tomorrow. Derek, how's the weather looking for all of the trick-or-treaters out there?
Thanks, Liz. Well, as you can see, the great weather that we had from this weekend extended into today as we had sunny skies with temperatures around 50 degrees as the average. We had a fluctuation between high 40s and low 50s. But today was a pretty great day. As we go into tomorrow's weather, it's Halloween. So for all you trick-or-treaters and parents out there, you're in luck because we shouldn't have any rain throughout the day. In the morning, we'll see temperatures of around the high 40s with partly cloudy. And as we move into the afternoon, we'll also see the temperature go into the low 50s and the same about partly cloudy. As we move into later in the evening, the temperature should drop. So make sure those Halloween costumes that you're creating for Tuesday night are prepared for the cold weather. As we move on to the state map, the entire state of Washington received sunshine. As we look over to the west half of the state in the Seattle, Olympia, Vancouver area, we had temperatures in the mid to low 60s, so the temperature was a lot warmer over there. As we head over to the middle of the state, Yakima and Wenatchee were still in the 60s. As we can see, Wenatchee was a little bit colder. And as we move into the corner with Pullman and Spokane, we can see that the sunshine was there. However, the temperatures were nowhere near the warmth on the west side as we had temperatures in the low 50s. As we move on to the 5-day forecast, expect some rain Wednesday and Thursday with temperatures ranging in the mid 40s. We'll see that move into Dad's weekend, unfortunately, and as they say, winter is coming. On Saturday, we'll see that we might have a chance of rainy snow, and on Sunday, we can basically move forward, and we shouldn't have any clouds, but there will be a very, very cold night. So expect, tell all the dads that they need to head up with the chains. Jay, Liz, back to you.
After the break, the Houston Texans owner is in hot water for saying offensive comments about NFL players.
And we'll give you a World Series update. Stay with us after the break.
So good to see you guys. So, what's up? Oh, we finally bought a place. Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on... Is it good?
Oh, God.
Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
This is the moment I knew. His future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Texas owner Bob McNair will continue to see protests from other players after his insensitive comments towards NFL players on Friday. McNair said, "We can't have inmates running the prison," when asked about NFL players protesting during the anthem. Star wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins and rookie quarterback Deshaun Watson both knelt along with their teammates during Sunday's game against the Seahawks. Even though McNair apologized twice for the words, there's still plenty of players around the league who are upset about the comments. The Houston Astros are one game away from winning the World Series after a walk-off win last night in extra innings. The Astros were down 4-1 in the fourth inning when Yuli Gurriel hit a 3-run bomb off Clayton Kershaw to tie the game at 4. Cody Bellinger and Jose Altuve both hit 3 runs in the homer at the top of the bottom of the fifth to make it a tied at 7, down 12-9 in the ninth. Dodgers scored 3 runs in the fourth extra innings with runners on first and second. Alex Bregman hit a walk-off single to give the Astros the victory.
Thank you for watching. Join us every night at 7 and 10.
Pullman's only nightly newscast. Have a great night. Don't forget to follow us on Murrow News 8 on Facebook and Twitter. Good night, Pullman.